Thank you for the lovely choir offering. It's beautiful. It's hard to believe, but we're closing in on the end of Advent, number 4. And most likely you have your tree up, your decorations up. You've set up the nativity scene, perhaps in your own living rooms. You've at least started your Christmas shopping. And you've probably heard every Christmas song you know by now. Do you have a favorite Christmas song? I mean, religious or secular? I know that we all do. I happen to like Gene Autry. Rudolph and Santa Comes to Town, Here Comes Santa Claus. Sleigh Ride by the Boston Pops, another one of my favorites. And Bing's White Christmas, one of my favorites. I'm not afraid to admit it. I like that one. The first time I heard it this year, I was with Christy. We went to Joann Fabrics, and I waited in the car. Because fabric stores are like an anesthesia to me. I mean, 5 minutes in that place, I'm out. I'm asleep. Literally, Christy found me one time. I collapsed, snoring in the scans and the sale fabric aisle. So I tilted the seat back and I started singing with Bing, White Christmas, and I sang the whole song. I even whistled where Bing whistled, and at the end I crooned along with Bing, and may all your Christmases be white. And there, I realized, were 3 other husbands in 3 other cars next to me watching the whole thing. It was so embarrassing. So I went to sleep, and I counted my blessings instead of sheep. And like you, I have my least favorite Christmas songs, Santa Baby. Baby, it's cold outside. I've heard that at least a dozen times this year. Grandma got run over by a reindeer, and I don't have to say anything more about that. Stevie Nicks, Silent Night. There's just something about the two. And you may disagree. I mean, what do I know? I still like the Chipmunk song. The 12 Days of Christmas, I only want to hear that once. And I was looking over some CDs, and I saw a Dean Martin Christmas CD, Dino, and he's in his tux. And he's leaning on a piano, and he's got a martini and a smoldering cigarette in the ashtray. Oh, little town of Bethlehem. It just didn't feel right to me. And of course, the most bizarre thematic song is The Little Drummer Boy. I love the music, but the theme of it, how the boy humbly approaches the tender nativity scene, Mary and Joseph and the angels, the sleeping baby in the quiet stable on that still and holy night with his gift of peace, a drum solo. But strangely enough, my very favorite Christmas song is the Magnificat, which we heard sung today. Mary, a simple peasant girl, sang the first Christmas song. Magnificat is a Latin word meaning to magnify. Mary is magnifying God, praising the bigness of God in her song, in her life. Mary was a remarkable woman, if you stop to think about it. She submitted to the will of God and this crazy idea that of a son being born of a virgin would save the world. When she received Gabriel's message, Luke tells us she was greatly troubled. Imagine the rumors that would circulate around the only well in town where everybody came to draw water. It's so easy for a nice girl to get in trouble here. As Mary's story became public, the rumors turned to ridicule. The looks, the smirks, the whispered comments. She said an angel visited her, and said, "What? Do you believe her?" Would you buy into something that crazy? Who would believe her? Her mom, her dad, the rabbi, Joseph? Would we believe her? Mary hurried off to the one person who could possibly understand what she was going through, her relative Elizabeth, who miraculously got pregnant in her old age. Her old age, she's probably about 45. And another angelic annunciation whose child leapt in her womb when she saw Mary. Elizabeth believed Mary and shared her joy. Mary believed. Her faith was courageous. She would submit to God's crazy idea. I am the Lord's servant, she said. May it be done to me according to your will. Regardless of the questions it would raise or the eyebrows, regardless of the cost or the consequences, regardless if it meant losing her reputation or the life she planned as a young woman does. This is the quality that I admire most of Mary, this regardless quality that made her most suited for the task of becoming the mother of God. Mary, who said to the angel Gabriel, "Let it be so according to God's will." And Mary passed this trait to her son, this holy genetics. So when Jesus prayed in the garden, facing the cross, wishing there was another way, he said to God, as Mary, his mother, did, "Nevertheless, your will be done." Today, Mary is the spiritual confidant of billions of people. Muslims as well as Christians consider her to be holy above all women. Her name, Miriam, appears more often in the Quran than Mary does in the Bible, in the New Testament. "Surely, from now on, all generations will call me blessed," she said. And they have. Today, she's a global phenomenon. The notion of Mary as intercessor with Jesus began with the miracle of the wine at Cana, the first wedding, when she told him, "They have no wine," prompting that first miracle in the Gospel of John. In the 5th century, the church officially named her Theotokos, the bearer of God. Luke paints a beautiful setting. Angels, dreams, prophecies like the one that we heard from Micah this morning. More angels, leaping babies, swans a-swimming, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves. There's a lot of supernatural stuff in Luke's version of the nativity story. But there is also the long, difficult trip Mary takes. Not in a Ford Expedition, but on a donkey. 9 months pregnant on a donkey. And the crowds of dirty people, and no room at the inn, and the worry, and then the labor and the delivery, and the pain on straw in a smelly cave. No epidurals. Where are the angels now? That's not supernatural. That's kind of normal. And that's our life sometimes. Difficult, confusing, fearful, dark, painful. And that's what the author wants us to see. That is the good news according to the gospel writer of Luke. Jesus is divine and he's normal. He's physical and he's spiritual. He's eternal, yet stuck in the finite. He has been where we are. God became human so we could become divine. It is a great thought of the Christian faith that we have a God who knows the life we live because he lived it too and claimed no special advantage over ordinary people. The God who created all matter decided to be born within it. The Word became flesh. Recently, Michael, not our Michael, but a different Michael, was arguing with his mom about how, when he was a kid, his mom never let him touch or play with the nativity scene that they had. "You were always a mess," his mom said, "with messy hands. You'd get baby Jesus dirty." "I was a kid," Michael said. "Kids get things messy." That's life. But mom insisted, baby Jesus is the whole focal point of that nativity and the reason for the whole bloomin' season. And if you think you're going to get peanut butter all over the camel and break the nail that holds the angel on, and touch Jesus and get your messy hands and get sticky all over him, well, you got another thought coming, mister. Forget it. Jesus didn't come down here to get messy, she said. That's not very good theology. Because Jesus did come down here to get messy. And Jesus said, let the children come to me. Apparently, he was okay with getting messy. He always came with the intentions of getting messy, of getting his hands dirty. So let your kids play with the nativity scene and let it be a good way to talk to them about it. To the writer, the gospel writer Luke, and to us, that is the good news. Amen.